Hello again, guys. Just want to review some of the things we went over previously about an ignition system. Two types of ignition systems: ignition transformer and a solid state ignition itself. This one's made by Carlin, this one made by Transformer. Okay, you've probably seen these kicking around the lab. Can anybody tell me the difference voltage output wise between these two units? Well, normally the old tar ball or ignition transformer is going to put out about 10,000 volts AC. Where in contrast, the electronic ignition or solid state ignition, in this case made by Carlin, may put out to 20,000 volts. Can anybody tell me the advantages of one ignition system over the other? Well, first, there's two types of ignition systems. Let's review. The type of ignition that stays on for the entire run cycle. What type of ignition system is that? Well, that would be the intermittent ignition system. What about the other type of ignition system that runs once till the flame is established, then it cycles off? Anybody recall what type of ignition system that's called? Well, that's referred to as the interrupted ignition system. Please remember the difference between those two types of ignition systems for the NORA exam. In addition, who could tell me the distinct advantage that the solid state ignition has over the old tar ball, hence the ignition transformer? Anybody remember? There's two distinct advantages. We mentioned about intermittent versus interrupted ignition. Well, the interrupted ignition, that's not going to run as long. So the solid state ignition system, you're going to see energy savings. You're going to use less electricity. And something else. You might say, is there another advantage that the solid state igniter has over the old ignition transformer? It sure does. The ignition system itself is going to put out a hotter spark. The hotter spark raises the probability of complete atomization, a more complete burn, so to speak. As opposed to the old tar ball ignition transformer, 10,000 volts, it'll give you a spark, but you're not going to have the degree of complete combustion that you would with the solid state ignition system. Once again, just remember interrupted versus intermittent ignition systems. The interrupted is more preferred, especially these days. Number one, saves money on electricity. Number two, it's going to have a hotter spark for more complete combustion. Stay tuned for more videos, guys.